Hey, this is Eli Campbell. You know, Steamboat is renowned worldwide for skiing, biking, and all that our natural playground has to offer. We're fortunate, though, that the natural beauty here attracts more than just outdoor enthusiasts. From local legends to world-class acts, amazing musicians regularly play the venues in our little corner of Northwest Colorado. Join me as I explore the stories and experiences of these talented artists who bring unforgettable performances to Steamboat. This is your Steamboat Sound Check. Welcome to the Steamboat Sound Check podcast. Eli Campbell hanging out with you, and I am happy to be joined by Al Schnier of the band Mo. They're going to be playing Strings next week, February 13th. How are you doing today?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for joining me. You guys are currently on tour in part to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Mo. You've been a member of the band for 33 of those 35 years, somewhere in that area. What I find interesting, though, is that before officially joining Mo, you encountered some early recordings of theirs and became a fan first. So what was it about the sound of Mo that intrigued you as a fan before you even were playing in the band?
It's interesting. At the time, I was basically playing in like dead bands in college, that kind of thing. That's the music that I was playing for the most part, covering the Dead and the band and Neil Young and whatever. And then I heard it was like a 4-song demo that they had made. And it was, first of all, it was original music, which was awesome. But there was something about the quality of it where it had like these elements of like Frank Zappa or something to it, but it had more of an edge. It reminded me a bit of, I don't know, something more like the early Chili Peppers or something else. It had, I don't know, there was something about it where it was not at all in the vein of the classic rock or like all the hippie music that I was playing at the time. And it was something definitely a little more edgy, like a little more like alternative rock kind of that they were playing. But it was great. Songs were great, playing was great, and it was. I mean, again, it's like 4 songs. It wasn't a ton, but it was enough. And it's funny. The person who gave it was my girlfriend at the time, who was a mutual friend. She was friends with the guys in the band, and I think I had even said to her, I was like, "That's the kind of band I want to play in. Like that is, something about it. Like instantly kind of sparked this thing." And I was like, "This, just seems way more fun than playing Franklin's Tower again." You know, I love the Grateful Dead, and I will play Franklin's Tower any day of the week. However, there's just something really intriguing about making original music with these guys that seems. And I didn't think in a million years I would actually wind up playing music with them. It was just inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, it's very few people that have the story of finding a band that inspires them, saying that's the kind of music I want to play, and then actually having an opportunity to be in that band. That's not the typical journey of musicians. So do you still
Right.
pinch yourself here even 3 decades later about how lucky you were to go through that progression?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're reminded of it all of the time. I'm so grateful for what we do and how lucky we are to get to do it. It's very unusual to for anybody to have the same job for 35 years, or get have the same coworkers for 35 years, or any of these things. And then when you think about the fact that it's a band, the likelihood of us sticking together and still doing it 35 years is really very unlikely. I'm not sure what the percentage of the Vegas odds would be on something like that, like working, but it can't be very good. I'm sure the house wins most of the time.
Yeah, I'm sure that is not the the average lifespan. It's always when you talk about football players, they always say like the average career is under 3 years or something like that. I'm sure there's some
Right.
statistic about that for bands as well that would be shockingly low. And you guys are out here still doing it for 35 years and still releasing new music that is creative. You've just released last Friday your 14th studio album, Circle of Giants. And this album still kind of brings a fresh sound and dynamic energy to the band Mo. So how are you still able to do that after 35 years? Find that new sound and new energy.
In this case, I would say a lot of that is largely due to the fact that we added another guy to the band. So with Nate Wilson joining the band, we now have a keyboardist and a new vocalist and an additional songwriter. So all of those things have really kind of elevated the thing that we've been doing. And it's been a very organic process. We've known Nate forever, and it just seems like a really good fit. Um, but there's something about that, about the way the songs all came together, and really did kind of shine a new light, or put a different perspective or twist on the thing that we were doing. And it's been awesome. It's been great. So I think maybe that's the answer. Every couple of years we just need to add another guy to the band.
Yeah, just always bring in someone fresh to give you guys more inspiration to bring fresh perspective. Another thing, though, the first single that was released off of that album was Ups and Downs. It's kind of got this really powerful origin tied to the pandemic and the songs for other people thing that he was doing back then, but also the band was going through a lot of ups and downs. Specifically, Chuck and Rob went through some really tough times over the past few years. So how did the band come together to support each other, and how did those trials kind of shape this song and the creation and its meaning?
The thing about all of those trials, those traumas, they they affected all of us deeply, all of our families. We are all so deeply entwined in each other's lives that it it's bound to do that to us. But if if not for one another, like I don't know how we would have gotten through those things either. And each time we've been through so many freaking things at this point, but each time like we come out like a little more resilient, a little stronger, um, where the bond is stronger than it was before somehow. And so there's that part of it. In terms of the song, I don't. It's almost, I don't know if it's a happy accident or coincidence. I mean, I can't speak to Rob's creative process. I just know that when I hear the song, and there are certain lines in the song that they land differently today than they might have, a few years ago. Um, it really does. It really does make an impact, and it's such a beautiful, well-written song. I think it may be my favorite song that Rob has ever written.
It is a beautiful song, and it's definitely, the message behind it. We've been playing a lot on our music stream, and the whole album itself, though, is filled with kind of a lot of longer songs as well. 7, 8 minute, even a 12-minute song in there. And we're in this day and age where it seems like so many musicians are trending towards shorter songs, things that are more virally friendly and things like that. Why is it important for you guys as a band to still play some of these and put down onto the album longer form songs that tell the stories and have more of the musicianship involved in them?
It's just what we do. We're not. We've the thing is we've always done both. We've always written short pop songs and rock songs because we like that format as well. Everybody in the band is pretty adept at knocking out like a decent rock song, and we like that thing. However, there's the other thing too, where nobody shies away from writing something that's more complex, or the long form piece, and they can coexist. I don't think you have to be one or the other. They're not mutually exclusive, and so we we are fortunate enough that our fans are cool enough to let us do both, and not just say, oh well, you need to be one thing or the other. It's like we can be both of those things, and whether it's on a record or at our show, we'll probably continue to do both of those things.
Yeah, it is one of the things that makes Mo a special band is being able to kind of live in both worlds and do them both so well. And you're out supporting this album on tour right now. As I said, I believe you're in California maybe today. You're going to be in Steamboat
Correct.
here in about a week on February 13th. And like previous tours, $1 from each ticket sold is going to support Backline, which is a mental health organization for touring musicians and their families. What is it about that cause that so deeply kind of connects with you and the band, and why do you think it's especially important right now?
I mean, the obvious connection is that we lost Rob's son Eddie to suicide earlier, and it's it's and it just seems like more and more people are struggling with their mental health, and particularly in the music community. We see a lot of it, and it's great that some people in the industry recognize that, and they put together a great resource for people in our community to have an outlet, something that they can lean on. So we don't have bands imploding, or ultimately, worst thing, ultimately taking their lives because they feel like they didn't have another option. And so this gives people an option, and you just want to be able to have a place to reach out to make a difference.
Yeah, and so for people that are coming to the show, not only do you get a great concert out of it, but you know that your money is going to support an incredible cause. I've had the great opportunity of seeing Mo a couple of times back in my festival going days. I saw you at Vegas back in 2007, Mile High Music Festival in 2008. You've played a lot of these big festival stages. Here in Steamboat, it's a much smaller, more intimate venue. It's a 500 person capacity. How does performing in that smaller, more personal space compare to those massive festivals? And does it influence your approach to the set or how you plan to connect with the audience at all?
The only thing that really changes is that shared experience in the room. It's not just for us. It's for everyone, right? So we are all having that shared experience, and like you were at those festivals, you're having that experience there as well. And so when you're with 25,000 people on a field, and that band is doing a thing, there's something that's pretty cool about being at a large scale event and having those visceral moments. But to then also scale it down, and it's like, now, okay, now it's 500 of us in this space, and that strings room is gorgeous. I remember when we played there last year. It's a really cool spot, and it sounds and looks amazing in there. And I don't think there's a bad seat in the house, and it's it again, it's just maybe a show like that being on a much smaller scale allows us the opportunity to to I don't know, to focus a little bit more on the details, to be quiet, or to be a little bit more expressive, and count on those people to be a little bit more present, because it's not just you know a giant crowd in a field.
Yeah, and I've heard that from other musicians too that have played that space that say the sound there is just really remarkable and makes for a great experience, not just for the audience, but for the musicians as well.
Hmm.
Now, you're coming to Steamboat as part of this tour. You're a bit of a skier yourself, just like the rest of us. You actually, most of the bands here in town have to have other jobs to moonlight to pay for their skiing habit. You're a ski patrolman, or have been in the past. Is that what it is? You need to have this extra gig to pay for what is more and more expensive of a sport to be a little bit addicted to?
It's not like we're in Mo for the money. We it's funny. We do this because we love doing it. I often feel like we probably could have had different financial future somehow doing something else, but we do this because we love it. And I I maybe love skiing as much as I love playing music with these guys. It's possibly my favorite thing to do. And when I had that realization, I don't know, a decade ago or more, that's when I was trying to find a way to make skiing like as big a part of my life as like playing music was, and that's how I landed on National Ski Patrol and started doing that then. And I still do it to this day. I'm a volunteer with the Mount Mansfield Ski Patrol, which is in Stowe, and this is my first year that I've done it there. Formerly had done it in the Adirondacks, closer to home, but now I've made Stowe my home mountain, and it's amazing. I love it, and we get to ski while we're on tour. So when I can combine those two things, then I'm sort of living my best life.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you're one of the influences that make sure the band comes through the ski towns and plays places like Steamboat and Frisco, and if you're going to have an opportunity to get up on the mountain when you're here next week.
I would definitely have an opportunity and take advantage of it while we're on the road. Um, I I have such a conflict of interest. I don't even feel good about voting for these shows. I will say yes to the ski gigs all of the time. Last year, I think when there was a run where I don't know, we went from Park City, I think, down through it was like from Telluride all the way across I-70, and I skied 9 days in a row while we were playing, and I was like, I got to a point where it's just like I couldn't believe how lucky I was to do it all, and we hit some powder days along the way too, and I was just like I was shocked by the end of this thing. I was like, you know what, I'm not voting for this anymore because I'm again I'm just going to say yes. So maybe we need to have a grown up make these decisions.
You're living the dream. Powder days by morning and playing music by night, so good for you. I want to thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me. I know the fans here in Steamboat are excited for Mo to come to Strings next Friday, February 13th. You can get tickets at stringsmusicfestival.com. Al, thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.